21 stages, 22 teams, 198 riders and over 3,400 kilometers of racing. These are the numbers of the toughest race in the world's most beautiful place. Welcome to the 2014 highlight show of the 97th Giro d'Italia, the season's first Grand Tour, and it's underway. Well, the fight for pink starts in Northern Ireland, the streets of Belfast offering a unique and challenging course where the weather often takes centre stage. Plenty of Colombians are here, two of whom are targeting the Maglia Rosa. Nairo Quintana starts as race favourite, while Rigoberto Urán, second last year, is hunting that top step of the podium in Trieste. Spain's Joaquim Rodriguez is out to stop them. He lost the 2012 Giro by just 16 seconds to Canada's Ryder Ejeda. 2011 Tour de France champion Cadel Evans will be up for the challenge, while Italian hopes are pinned on two-times winner Ivan Basso and Michele Scarponi. Down to business then, the opening stage, a 27.1 kilometre team time trial running across Belfast. Not a very technical stage, but with a testing ramp at Stormont, it could provide surprises. This, the terrain they're dealing with, not the longest time trial in history, but certainly a challenge for the battle for pink. Let's join the action with the day's favourites, Orica Greenedge, second off the ramp, and the rain clouds just beginning to burst. This is Orica Greenedge, and this time is going to be a bit special. There we go, they're down to, what, 6 men? That's a good number to have at this point. And just look at the time gap. Colombia finished in 26.05. Orica Greenedge are going to be sub 25 minutes here, so it's going to be a mighty minute for them. And in fact, it's going to be nearly a mighty 2 minutes, for goodness sake. They're heading for that turn that we said, the 250-300 mark, and they'll be underneath that finish line in front of our commentary position in just a few moments' time. And this is going to be a very, very good benchmark for us. Spell out to the other side of the road. They keep it safe. Just need to drive this one home. They know the rain's come, and they know that they've had a bit of an advantage, but they're being greedy, and this is good.
Canadian birthday boy and time trial specialist Sven Tuft has been on the front pretty much the entire last kilometre, and he crosses the line first of the team, who come across in 24 minutes and 42 seconds, a minute and 23 ahead of Team Colombia. And I think it would be fantastic if Tuft went into that pink jersey. Let's see what the other teams can do, but that's certainly a major benchmark time for everybody else to chase.
This is going to be important for Movistar because Nairo Quintana started off as one of the out-and-out favourites. If he ships some time here, I'm not suggesting he can't make it back up when it gets to the mountains, because he's certainly capable of doing that. But it hampers you, and I think it possibly has a mental impact as well. If you shed seconds that perhaps you don't think were worthy, gained by your opponents, you can start getting in your head, that sort of thing.
I guess it can do. I mean, everybody knows on the run-up to this race, of course, exactly what they're going to be facing. And, yeah, of course, if you're a general classification rider with a very, very strong team time trial squad, then that's an advantage to you. And vice versa, of course. Cadel Evans with his BMC squad likely to, I think, probably put some time into his key rivals on this opening stage, very much dependent on the weather conditions and the way that they play out. Quintana there on the front, hopefully not putting his teammates into too much trouble on this climb. They've already lost Igor Anton. How many have they got left coming through here? 2, 4, 6, just 7 riders. One other rider just starting to get dropped off the back. So again, not ideal after 1/3 of the race to only be down to 7.
Yep, absolutely. And just looking at their split, Dan, Movistar are 9.26, 4 seconds slower than Colombia. That's amazing, because Movistar are a very good time trialling team. Here come Tinkoff Saxo. Now, this has done some great favours for Nico Roche, because this is going to be a decent time for them, courtesy of the weather that is falling upon everybody else. The race for the line, it's going to be 5, but they've come with nearly all their personnel. That's not bad.
No, I think they'll be reasonably happy with that.
This is Katusha. Man nearest to us is Joaquim Rodriguez. Now, that man has finished second too many times in his career when it comes to Grand Tours. And in fact, if he wins this Giro d'Italia, I think he's amongst he may well be the man who's finished most times and then won. I'm thinking how many Grand Tours he actually been in and how many stages he's actually contested and then won. We'll check that fact for you, but nonetheless too many, and he'd like that to come to an end and take victory here. 2012, he lost out by just 16 seconds to Ryder Eschdal on the very last individual time trial into Milan, and he doesn't want any of that nonsense. It is wet, and it's just started to ebb at the finish line. We had some drizzle, then heavy rain, and now it has gone away once more, but it certainly had a big impact. Down to 5, Lotto Belisol. There's no more personnel to burn, and they're only 13 minutes into the run. That's not great. And this day hasn't worked out at all for Team Katusha, and this is going to hurt Rodriguez very much indeed.
It certainly is. A time gap of around about 30 seconds between this team at Katusha and Movistar, who've just come through the intermediate time check. So a far from ideal start for Katusha, and in particular Rodriguez, who came into this race as kind of second favourite for the overall. And well, we were saying before we came on air that these first 3 stages are really about not losing too much time for the GC riders, and I wouldn't say that it's mission accomplished for Katusha and Rodriguez here.
I think that's the very polite way of saying it, and I think you are going to see a very forlorn-looking Joaquin Rodriguez when Katusha come across the line. They're already deep into the 26 minutes here. This is time that you have to make up with time bonuses and stage wins, and particularly in the mountains when it comes to Rodriguez. Look at that, it's terrible.
1 minute and 33 seconds. And I think by the time they come into the finish here, there'll be about a 40-second difference between the team here, Katusha, coming into the finish, and Movistar, who should be in around about 4 minutes' time.
One team who are going to get punished today is Lotto. They look, well, diminished. There's only 5 of them left, and so they're having to nurse each other home because you have to finish with 5. If 4 head off and one guy's walking with his bike, seen that before. It's the walking man that will set the time if he's number 5.
Let's watch this Movistar team coming in towards the finish. Let's not forget that the finish time of the Katusha team was at just over 26 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, 26 flat more or less, and they're going to beat that here by, well, 23 seconds. That's to Katusha, incidentally, because they both contain a favourite. But shipping 55 seconds to Orica Greenedge, who probably won't challenge for GC. Then again, they're taking a hell of a cushion. 10 kilometres to go. That must seem like an absolute country series of miles, I've got to say, for Europcar, who are not having fun at all. This is Cannondale on the ramp right now. Ivan Basso, twice a winner. He's 36 years of age now, just coming off the ramp. And there, another veteran, of course, here, Longo Borghini. Also long in tooth, but high on ambition, I guess. Danny Ratto can go well. He's decent in the sprint, but it really is about the sprinter, Eli Viviani, that they will be thinking about. And they'll be hoping that they have a decent time trial. They're not bad time trialing team, the men in lime green, as we watch Trek Factory Racing coming to the line. Thinking about Nizzolo and Hondo for the sprints. And this, well, not as bad as I thought.
Well, they've not done too badly. The last intermediate time check, Trek Factory Racing were moving up very slightly, and as they cross the finish line here, exactly a minute behind our current leaders in 4th place at this point in time.
Trek Factory Racing across the line then, 4th quickest so far. Let's just remind you about the time bonuses that exist during this Giro d'Italia, which of course starts here in Ireland, 2 days in Belfast, then 1 down towards Dublin before the flight to southern Italy, and the race returning to its home. It's the 11th time, incidentally, that the Giro started outside of the boundaries of the boots that is Italy. And yeah, it's fantastic. The atmosphere here is just electric, as you can see. The crowds have turned out. I'm not sure how many or how indeed you measure it, but it is many hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be a few deep almost the entire way around this course here in Belfast, the opening stage today. 21.7 kilometres of the Giro d'Italia 2014, 97th edition of this race. Team Sky on the road in front of you at the moment. Bernie Eisel, one of the most experienced riders from this team. 199, Ben Swift there. Fantastic year for him so far, after a kind of an injury-ridden 2013, which was a complete write-off for him. He's come back with a vengeance this year. A stage win at the Coppa e Bartoli, third place at Milan-San Remo, big surprise there, and then a fantastic performance at the Tour of the Basque Country, where he won a stage, but managed to stay with some great climbers. Well, I think only 14, 15 guys left coming in towards the finish, and of course he, by far the fastest of all of them, and taking a magnificent stage victory in a World Tour race there.
This is Giant. Now, it's starting to dry up a little bit. The rain has abated at the finish line, and I think that Giant might just pull something of a surprise today. They've got a massive, powerful team, and of course, head and shoulders above almost all of them is the young man that is Marcel Kittel. Won up the Champs-Élysées, don't forget, in what is regarded widely as the unofficial, albeit, Sprint World Championship, the last stage on the Tour de France. This is Belkin just approaching the finish. We'll come back to Giant Shimano in a moment. Let's just watch this team come to the line. And it's not a bad performance by Belkin. We said sometimes they surprise and take that extra stride forward, and that's precisely what they have done in difficult testing conditions. It is drying, incidentally. It is drying, and this bodes very well for those who are going later on, and indeed for Giant, who are on course right now, and I'll be bound Cannondale too. Right now, head and shoulders above everybody is Orica Greenedge by a 23-second margin. Tinkoff Saxo and Nico Roche, well, that's fantastic for them. And in fact, Movistar, 55 seconds down. That's a big old difference between Tinkoff Saxo and Movistar. You'd expect Movistar to have completely dominated that little duel. Sky taking one of the testy turns on the run to the end of this team time trial. It's 21.7 kilometres is our distance today. Sky approaching the end of their run. Road is still damp, and Giant Shimano don't look in the happiest place at all. 171 there. Marcel Kittel is their protected rider. And just look at those thighs of his. He is a powerhouse when it comes to sprinting, and he's the man to beat at the moment.
Yeah, in the flat sprint finishes, he kind of appears to be head and shoulders ahead of all the other sprinters in this race. In some ways, of all the other sprinters in the world, he's had the better of Mark Cavendish a couple of times this year, and of course 4 times at last year's Tour de France. And he's still very young, Kittel, but he can become part of a select group of riders who've won a stage at all 3 of the Grand Tours, should he win a stage here at the Giro, which is fairly likely even over these first 2 days before we leave Ireland.
Just about to take the final turn, and this is a very, very good time. Sky, well, they had some rain. It's been a drying course, but Tinkoff Saxo is their target right now. I don't think they're going to get quite there, but they've done a superb run, considering that they started off in the rain, and Tinkoff and, of course, Orica Greenedge were blessed with fairer conditions. It is drying, however, and I think this might be the start of some quicker runs right now. Sky and Movistar, they're going to beat Movistar's time and go third quickest with a 25.17, but look at that, 51.496 kilometres per hour. And Dan, they weren't the quickest in the first part of the course. We were talking about negative splits, and I think that was perfectly executed. Kept something behind and delivered it.
Yeah, I think they did a very, very impressive ride, Team Sky. I mean, they did start on wet roads, so to only concede 35 seconds to the Orica team, who looked so strong, I think is well, a job well done for the British squad. Only 12 seconds behind Tinkoff Saxo. I think they'll be pretty pleased with that today.
It's party time here in Belfast. You're wondering why this island is so green? It's because it gets plenty of water. We had some earlier on today. Unfortunately for some of the teams, it really hampered them. Big loser so far is Team Katusha and Joaquim Rodriguez, that had an almost entirely wet run. That was a real shame for them. Some of the early guys went off in dry conditions, and then it rained. Right now the course is drying, and it's paying great favour towards those who are on the end of the timetable today. Last team to go will be Neri Sotoli. They must be cock-a-hoop. But BMC is the team that we're really waiting for. Orica Green Edge, you had that mixed run, dry and then wet, don't forget, are the benchmark setters so far. But some teams have come through and gone very, very well indeed, including Team Sky in a partially wet run, and Cannondale likewise, who engaged a negative split, holding something back. This is BMC. This is the team of Cadel Evans. He is, of course, a Grand Tour winner, and he's here to do some serious damage to everybody else. And I reckon this team, which, let's remind ourselves, Dan Lloyd, is a very good time trialling team, could actually have a party.
Yeah, I think they're going to put in a good time in this team time trial today. We're watching Giant Shimano now coming in towards the finish. The minimum 5 riders there. Marcel Kittel is the man on the front sprinting, and I'm sure the others will be struggling to hold his wheel. He looks like he's on good form. Let's not forget it's the 5th rider across the line who will stop the clock. So time ticking on there. Not a bad time though. 5th place looks like to be where they're 6th place provisionally for them. Just lost a couple of places there over the last 100 metres or so as the clock ticked by. 56 seconds down on the current best time.
This is BMC. This is the team of Cadel Evans. This is a very good team time trialling team. And just look at the beautiful way that they relay themselves down the line, tucking in, getting out of the wind. This is time trialling brilliance. If you do take a tumble, oh my goodness. 4 down, and that looks bad. It's Dan Martin, and he's holding his elbow, and that they're not touching him at the moment.
No.
He's rocking and rolling. Let's just hope he is okay. He's taken a whole bite of the tarmac here, I'm afraid, and he's gone down hard on his left elbow, and he's staying there. That is not great. It was a drain cover. It was a drain cover. I don't know whether it started off the skittle, but he certainly went down very, very hard indeed. And here he is. Dan Martin for the moment, and he's clearly feeling for the collarbone, and I think that's it, Dan. So Cadel Evans, he's got a great chance today because I guess the field is being thinned down by either by accident or by just lack of efficacy when it comes to team time trialling. Joaquin Rodriguez, who started amongst the top 4 for this title, has been hobbled by an appalling team time trial. Cadel Evans then can kind of measure himself against Rigoberto Urán and Nero Quintana of Movistar. Movistar have had a very good run. They are 5th quickest here at 55 seconds down, but they are the best of the teams that contain the main GC contenders. Don't forget, huge gaps get thrown up when we get to the mountains. Garmin chart coming in, and the crowd know what has happened, and they are more than appreciative. I guess some of them are looking for Dan Martin. They're going to look in vain.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it'll be a huge disappointment to those here, some of whom can't see the big screen and maybe don't know exactly what's happened out on the course. Tyler Farrar, the first rider leading them through the last corner here. Ryder Hedgedale is amongst this 5 men that are coming in towards the finish now, but I'd say tour very much over for him already.
Still no confirmation about Dan Martin, but he is out of this year's Giro d'Italia, I am afraid. 28 minutes. Oh, let's have a look at their average speed as well as they come across the line. Listen to the crowd, listen to the roar. Gladiators, all of them, but 3 minutes and 26 given away, and even if it wasn't for the break, that would be it, I'm afraid, for the challenge for all men from this team, including, let's not forget, Ryder Hedgedale.
News from the course. Team BMC have come through the second time check, 10 seconds down on Orica. They were 12 seconds down at the first check, so they're closing in on the Australian squad, and this could be a lot closer than perhaps we were expecting after we saw Orica's time.
There is Dan Martin before his arm was put in a sling. He is now on his way to hospital with a suspected broken collarbone. This is Astana. We asked them, and that is the correct way to pronounce their name. Some of you say it's Astana. No, it's Astana. There we are. They said that's what we're called, so that's what we call. Just heading to that first intermediate time check. I reckon they're going to go well, and I think this will be good news for Scarponi. and not least Michael Vanda, if he holds on, the Spaniard, and doesn't do and Igor Anton, who got dropped by his own Movistar team very early on, a young man who was expected to go well in the mountains. He still will, of course, but he won't be a challenger for the title. And I guess he has the cushion of knowing that he's working for Quintana, but should anything happen to Quintana, as has happened to Dan Martin, let's not wish that upon anybody, then Anton would have been the automatic default to take over the mantle of team principal. So, yet more pressure on Quintana. Big turn, the last one, 250 meters from the line. It may not be good enough to beat Orica Greenedge. It's going to push it close though, however, very tight indeed. Still got what, 150 or so meters to go, but it is going to be second place for BMC. But amongst the GC boys, they're going to be the daddies. And I tell you something, Cadell Evans has done an absolutely amazing time here, as have his team. All right, they've had the blessing of the weather. They had a dry run here, but nonetheless, that was impressive.
Yeah, it certainly was. They're going to be extremely pleased with that time today. A lot of time that Evans has put into his key rivals in the race. In fact, more than a minute to some of the very, very key rivals. Amongst them, Katusha and Rodriguez, who's already a minute and 18 seconds down on Evans in the overall.
Terrific performance by BMC and by Cadell Evans. And if you're a Cadell fan, which I am, of course, unapologetic about, I think he's a terrific rider. He is a peculiar character, but he is totally fascinating. And who put it past this 37-year-old? We've seen men older than that. This one, of course, taking the Welsh at the age of 42, near enough. Orica Greenedge then. BMC, 7 seconds only between them. And indeed, of the GC boys, Cadell Evans is having a party. Here come our friends. Omega Pharma Quick Step, looking for the line. This is a good time. Orica Greenedge, in fact, no wonder they are worried. They're about to take this final turn. This is going to be close, Dan.
Yeah, it certainly is, and let's see exactly what time they come into the finish with 500 metres to go, 30 seconds. They've got this corner, it's going to be tough. They need to average 60 k's per hour. I don't see them doing that. Only 20 seconds now to the time of Orica Greenedge, and going to be close, but not quite close enough for the current world team time trial champions, Omega Pharma Quick Step. But I think, again, they're going to be pleased with this results today.
I think so. It's not their A-team, don't forget. Great rivalry between Omega and Orica. And the line doth beckon. They're not going to get it. They might get second place. They're just ahead of BMC. Here we go. There it is. And they do by a margin of 2 seconds. So 5 seconds down on Orica Greenedge. I think they'll take that, you know.
Yeah, I think they probably will do.
Omega Pharma Quick Step. And, of course, Rigoberto Urán. And terrific that we have a good performance by Evans' BMC team and Urán's Omega Pharma Quick Step. And their confirmation of the result. Orica Greenedge with a time of 24:42. Omega Pharma Quick Step did a great job to get close to them, helped by Rigoberto Urán, who's very much part of the thoughts for the general classification. BMC and Cadell Evans in third place, with Tinkoff Saxo fourth ahead of Team Sky. Astana in sixth place, Cannondale, Movistar. They can feel aggrieved, I think. 55 seconds down, that's Nairo Quintana. He's got a mountain to climb, quite literally. Several of them, in fact.
It's an amazing day. It starts out with a lot of stress, and I'm like, wow, this is a pretty crazy way to spend your birthday. And then to finish on that note was what a treat, and I can't thank my team enough for giving me that opportunity. It's a once in a lifetime for a guy like me, and what a fantastic team.
There's a few riders in the team who are the first-time participants at the Giro. I mean, they must be absolutely over the moon.
Yeah, I was just talking to Michael Hepburn, and he's like, is this how it always is for a Grand Tour? And I'm just like, no, this is a special day, man.
No hiding, though, the joy and sense of achievement from the boys from Orica. They've done a superb job. Here's your overall standing. Svein Tuft is our leader. It's a lockout of Orica Greenedge riders, those that finished in the same group. But it will be Michael Matthews there, P5 at the moment, that tomorrow, should he win the sprint stage and be hard pushed to bet against him, he only has to beat his teammates, essentially, because he'll be in the vanguard. He may not win the day. That might be Marcel Kittel, but expect Michael Matthews, or Bling as he is known due to his love of jewellery, to be on top. A Canadian won the Giro in 2012. A Canadian leads the Giro in 2014. The Giro d'Italia saw the streets of Belfast flooded with fans for the opening team time trial. The favourites, Orica Green Edge, claimed a well-deserved victory. Rigoberto Urán and his Omega Pharma Quick-Step boys 5 seconds from the Australians, while BMC completed the podium. Sadly, a terrible day for Irish fans. Local hero Dan Martin on the deck, he and a teammate both suffering a broken collarbone.